Flagship phones hit $1,000 and keep climbing. It's absolutely insane. But here's what the big brands don't want you knowing. Budget phones have seriously caught up today. I'm showing you 7 absolute beasts that pack Super AMOLED displays, crazy fast connectivity, all-day battery, and cameras that'll genuinely surprise you, all without emptying your wallet. These aren't sacrifices, they're actually the smartest buys you can make right now. All the links are down in the description. Let's find your next phone. First up, the Samsung Galaxy A26. Right off the bat, you're getting what Samsung does best in the budget space. That 6.7-inch Super AMOLED display at 120Hz is hands down the best screen you'll find at this price. Colors just pop, blacks are properly deep, and scrolling feels buttery smooth. Samsung's backing this thing with 6 years of updates, which is pretty much unheard of for a budget phone. Build quality's legit too, with Gorilla Glass Victus Plus on both sides and IP67 water resistance. The 50-megapixel camera with stabilization takes really sharp photos when the lighting's good. Now, the Exynos 1380 can feel a bit slow when you're switching between apps, and yeah, it does warm up if you push it hard. That single speaker is kind of a letdown when others give you stereo. But look, if you're the type who keeps phones for years and wants that Samsung experience with long-term support, this one's built to go the distance. Next up, the Xiaomi Redmi Note 14 Pro, and honestly, this display is wild. That 1220 resolution AMOLED hits 3000 nits peak brightness. That's brighter than the iPhone 16, just let that sink in. The 200-megapixel camera grabs impressive detail in daylight. That vegan leather back feels way more premium than it should, and it doesn't show fingerprints, which is nice. You're getting IP68 water resistance, stereo speakers with Dolby Atmos, and they actually throw in a 45-watt charger. It handles daily stuff smoothly, and even casual gaming's totally fine. The 2-megapixel macro's pretty useless, and HyperOS dumps a bunch of apps you'll immediately want gone. But picture this. You're on a long train ride binge-watching your show. That screen makes everything look incredible, and those stereo speakers actually sound good enough that you might not even grab headphones. For anyone who spends serious time on social media or streaming content, this screen is worth the price alone. The Realme P3 goes a totally different route, focusing hard on toughness and battery. This thing has triple IP ratings: IP66, IP68, and IP69 translation. It laughs at dust, survives underwater, and can take high-pressure water jets. If you work construction, have kids who grab your phone, or you're just naturally clumsy, this durability's a real lifesaver. The 6000 mAh battery easily gets you through a day and a half, and the Snapdragon 6 Gen 4 keeps things running smooth. That 6.67-inch AMOLED at 120Hz looks great, whether you're gaming or watching videos. The 50-megapixel Sony sensor does well in good light. Low light's not its strong suit though, and there's no stabilization to help. Also, heads up, the interface comes with like 69 pre-installed apps, so you'll be doing some spring cleaning right out of the box. But imagine you're working outside, someone sprays your phone with a pressure washer by accident, and you just wipe it off and keep going. That's the peace of mind you're getting here. Plus, that massive battery means you're not constantly hunting for outlets. Now the Samsung Galaxy A16 shares that same 6-year update promise as the A26. That Super AMOLED screen's still gorgeous for watching stuff, and One UI feels clean and familiar. Battery gets you through a full day, no problem. Here's the real talk though. The base version only has 4 gigs of RAM, which feels cramped for multitasking in 2025. You'll catch some stuttering when jumping between apps. The Exynos 1330 isn't exactly a speed demon, so heavy gaming's not really happening here. Unlike that Realme P3 with its tank-like protection, this one's only IP54, so it's more splash-resistant than waterproof. But if you're buying your first smartphone or setting up an older relative with something simple and reliable, this makes a lot of sense. That 6 years of guaranteed updates means it'll stay secure way longer than most budget options, which is genuinely valuable, even if the hardware's not the fastest. The Poco X7 brings some actual personality with that wild yellow and black vegan leather design. It's definitely not trying to blend in. The curved 6.67-inch AMOLED with Gorilla Glass Victus 2 feels premium, and IP68 water resistance means you can relax around water. The MediaTek Dimensity 7300 Ultra handles multitasking and gaming really well, and you can spec it up to 12 gigs of RAM with 512 storage, which is pretty impressive for this category. The 50-megapixel Sony camera with stabilization takes solid shots. Stereo speakers sound decent. Now, the Poco X7 and that Redmi Note 14 Pro we talked about earlier are basically twins under the hood, same processor and similar specs, but the Poco stands out with this bold look and bigger storage options. You'll need to clean up some bloatware, and that virtual proximity sensor occasionally acts up during calls. But if you want a phone that actually looks different while still delivering solid performance for gaming and creating content, this nails that balance. The Motorola Moto G 2025 is targeting the absolute tightest budgets while keeping some nice touches. That 6.7-inch 120Hz display keeps things smooth even though the resolution's lower. The 5,000 mAh battery consistently pushes past a full day, and that 30-watt turbocharge gets you topped up pretty quick. Motorola kept both the headphone jack and microSD expansion, which are getting rare nowadays. The Android 15 experience is refreshingly clean, and those stereo speakers actually sound surprisingly good. But with only 4 gigs of RAM, it struggles when you're doing heavy multitasking. The MediaTek chip handles basics fine, but it's not built for demanding stuff. Where the Redmi Note 14 Pro gives you that sharp AMOLED, this LCD just can't compete on visual quality. Motorola's only promising 2 years of updates too, which feels weak compared to Samsung's 6 years. Still, if you need the absolute cheapest entry point and it's on sale, it covers the basics without pretending to be something it's not. Finally, the Doogee Note 59 Pro Plus goes all in on specs. 36 gigs of RAM sounds crazy until you realize 24 is virtual, but 12 gigs of real RAM's still solid. 512 storage plus a dedicated microSD slot means storage is never an issue. That 6,250 mAh battery genuinely lasts 2 full days on moderate use. The triple slot design lets you run 2 SIMs while still using that microSD. But the Unisoc processor can't hang with MediaTek or Snapdragon competition. That 16-megapixel camera produces softer, less detailed photos. The IPS screen works, but it's not touching those AMOLED panels. This one's honestly for very specific needs: massive storage for offline stuff, international travel with multiple SIMs, and caring way more about battery than camera quality. So which one's actually worth your money? Want the longest support? The Samsung A16 gives you 6 years of updates. Want the absolute best screen? The Xiaomi Redmi Note 14 Pro dominates with that insanely bright AMOLED, needs serious toughness and battery. The Realme P3's your pick. Want performance with personality? The Poco X7 balances everything nicely. Need the cheapest option possible? The Motorola Moto G covers essentials. And if you need massive storage with dual SIM, the Doogee's got you. Honestly, the real winner here is your wallet, because every single one of these delivers way more than you're paying for. All the links are in the description. If this helped, hit subscribe and drop a comment with which one you're grabbing. Thanks for watching.